Alright guys, welcome back to another one. So I want to bring a game to your attention that recently got revealed that I feel as if is kind of going under the radar. It was recently announced at Gamescom, but not during the main show of Opening Night Live, but rather during the pre-show. Overall, the showcase was just kind of fine. A lot of updates on games that have already been announced, which I feel as if Gamescom is sort of centered around. I'm definitely looking forward to the new Black Myth along with the new Lego Batman, but this particular game, from the pre-show of all things, definitely is a highlight of Opening Night Live for me. And I feel like not enough people are talking about this. Swords of Legends, a brand new Chinese action RPG running on Unreal Engine 5. The game looks stunning. First thing I thought when seeing this was, okay, Black Myth Wukong, just in the visuals department. It's centered around Chinese folklore and fantasy, which again, we're starting to see a lot of this coming from the East. I really feel like the success of Black Myth Wukong has opened up the floodgates for Eastern developers looking at Korea and China. Over the past 3 years, there have been so many Eastern developers either releasing or announcing brand new video games, and the bulk of them have all been really well received. But I feel like Swords of Legends is going to be yet another example of just a solid video game coming from an Eastern developer. Now, this game is a sequel to a very popular Chinese video game series known as Gujian. This game here is actually considered to be Gujian 4, but I guess the developers, Aurogon Games, decided that for this game to appeal to the West, a name change was needed. I have to say though, it's interesting they decided to go with Swords of Legends only because Aurogon also worked on an online game known as Swords of Legends Online, and whenever you Google Swords of Legends, it brings up that MMORPG. Now, I have no idea if Swords of Legends Online is also connected to the Gujian series, but it's not a great thing only because that MMORPG flopped. It was really bad. Now, the first Gujian game came out back in 2011, with the sequel coming out in 2013, and the third entry releasing in 2018. Aside from the first game, which made its way to Xbox One, these games have never been put on console. All 3 of these games can be played over on Steam. They do have English translations, though all of the voice acting is in Chinese with English subs. But Swords of Legends here is set to have a simultaneous worldwide release. There is English voice acting within the trailer, which is a great sign, and it's not just releasing on PC, but also consoles as well, though the consoles haven't been specified. Would have to imagine it's most likely going to be PS5, or depending on when the game comes out, PS6. So it really seems as if Aurogon are wanting more people in the West to know about Gujian. Now, here's the thing, it is wildly different comparing Swords of Legends here to the 3 Gujian games. I've personally played Gujian 3, I haven't finished the game or anything like that, but I've put a few hours into it, and the Gujian titles are very much PlayStation 3 era coded action RPG hack and slash titles that feel budget to a certain degree. So when you compare those experiences, like the footage you guys have seen here of Gujian 3, to what's on offer here with Swords of Legends, with its incredibly high fidelity, this game looks insane. Dare I even say like a step above Black Myth Wukong's visuals? It's clear that the production value of this title here is the highest that the Gujian series has ever seen. It is running on UE5, which in the past, I believe Gujian has always been developed on the Havoc engine. Now, the developers did do a Q&A to explain sort of what this game is and what to expect. The first question we should answer here is, what type of a game is Swords of Legends? Is it a Souls-like? Because immediately when you look at it, you are reminded sort of Black Myth Wukong, which isn't outright a Souls-like title, but definitely has Souls-like flavors. I commonly refer to Black Myth Wukong as a Souls-light. So is that what we're dealing with here? To answer that question, this is an action RPG with a strong, well-paced main story and rich cinematic storytelling, complemented by side quests and deep exploration. Neither a Souls-like nor a fully open world game, the gameplay structure is closer to a wide linear experience, allowing players to approach the adventure at their own pace within the guided progression. And this is exactly what the Gujian games are, so it is cool to see that the devs here are sticking to the formula of what Gujian has always been, because nowadays it does seem as if like a lot of Eastern developers are honing in on the Souls-like genre. For me personally, that's not a bad thing because I enjoy Souls-like, but I do understand that the industry is currently going through a bit of fatigue when looking at that specific type of action RPG. So rest assured, this is not a Souls-like title. And just speaking about the world and level design, it seems as if it's still very much Gujian 3 in the sense that it is linear, but there are wide open areas to explore, so kind of think along the lines of like Final Fantasy 16. It's not technically open world, but there are larger areas. This will of course help supplement the fact that there are also side quests here as well. Next question here, is Swords of Legends a canonical sequel to the Gujian franchise or more of a spin-off? This is an official sequel to the Gujian single-player series, building on the foundation laid by its predecessor. It will further expand the series' universe and lore. So obviously most people aren't going to know that, especially here in the West, so immediately the worry is, well, do I need to play the other 3 games in order to understand what's going on here in Swords of Legends? And the devs have confirmed, no, each entry in the Gujian franchise tells a standalone complete story, and this installment is no exception. It introduces new characters and a self-contained narrative. So from what I understand, all of the Gujian games, they take place in the same universe, the same world. But every game tells its own self-contained story with its own characters. There are only ever a few occasions there where certain strings are drawn between 2 different titles. The devs also provided a bit of a synopsis on what this game's narrative is going to revolve around. They mention here we're expanding the Gujian universe by placing players in the role of an underworld enforcer, a unique figure who traverses between the realms of the living and the dead. You may have spotted familiar figures like the Oxhead and the Horseface Guardians in the trailer. They will act as companions on your journey. However, this is not a mere retelling of classic myths. Players will personally guide lost souls, helping them resolve lingering regrets. Each soul has a deeply personal backstory. For example, in the trailer, you saw a woman dancing before a set of bronze bells, unable to let go of her attachment to the mortal world, willing to pay any price to remain. So the tone of Swords of Legends seems to be a lot darker compared to what the Gujian series is usually used to. It's going to be a strong underworld theme, which I think this would be a first for the franchise. And so I can't help but think automatically like Onimusha a little bit. The devs also touched upon the type of combat system that players can expect. When asked how challenging is the combat, they said, we are not aiming for punishing difficulty or purely skill-gated combat. For example, soul capturing is both a narrative mechanic to the story and a core combat build. Players can capture the souls of certain monsters and summon them to assist in battle, with some offering cooperative combo attacks, such as the special drop attack triggered in the trailer when fighting alongside the Oxhead and Horseface. Exploration will also yield a variety of utility items to aid in combat, and flexible weapon skill loadouts will allow players to adapt to different enemy types. Our goal is to ensure players of all skill levels can have fun and, as in any good RPG, enjoy the satisfying journey of growing stronger. So to reiterate again, definitely not a Souls-like. That is not what the devs are aiming for. Well, the first impressions from the trailer certainly suggest, okay, this might be Souls-like because we've got like the parrying going on, we've got the dodging happening. It's sounding like it's certainly going to be more along the lines of traditional action RPG come action hack and slash game. That being said though, the gameplay that we do see in the trailer, because yes, this is a mix of both cinematics and gameplay, the combat sequences certainly do look very cinematic, very fluid animations. And yeah, there are instances of parrying and blocking attacks. So I do think there will still be that challenging aspect of having to pay attention to enemy attack patterns. The soul capturing mechanic certainly does remind me of the spirit system from Black Myth Wukong, how after defeating some enemies you'd be able to absorb their soul and then use them to perform a special ability. So it seems like the same type of thing is present here. In the trailer we got to see one of the summons in action where the player summons Horseface and then can perform a team-up combination attack where he jumps on the back, launch up into the air to perform an attack. We can also expect weapon skills as well, and I believe this right here, where the player throws the umbrella up into the air and all of these flaming skulls come spewing out, might possibly be one of them. We saw this other ability here where the player can bind enemies in place, and very fluidly looking too, like the animation and stuff doesn't look awkward. That at least gives you an idea as to some of the cool things that are a part of the player's kit. So it looks like once you defeat a key enemy, just like in Black Myth, you can then absorb their soul, and that in return will either give you a new ability or summon. I am very curious to know though how the parry or blocking system works, because right now it's kind of giving me Sekiro vibes, and that is a really good thing. You can even see here that jumping can be used to dodge sweeps or low attacks, just like Sekiro. Now, a release date wasn't given for this, and there's a good chance that this is still probably some ways off, maybe another 2 or 3 years. When asked what's the current development status, the dev said, back in 2021, we were still in the early stages of initiating the project and conducting preliminary research. In case you don't know, Swords of Legends was officially announced in 2021 via this post right here. We set very high quality expectations for the new title, and after exploring various technical approaches, we decided to develop it using Unreal Engine 5. This choice came with a significant budget requirement, which was a major challenge at the time. So not that we need a confirmation, I mean we can just tell from looking at the trailer, but this is the most expensive Gujian game so far. While learning the engine, we also carried out early stage research and planning. In early 2024, we secured investment, allowing the Swords of Legends team to gradually expand. As a result, the game has been in full development for about 2 years. We have now entered the mass production stage, and with the release of the first trailer, we aim to showcase our progress so far and attract more exceptional talent to join our team. So they have received investment for this, hence why this is such a different looking game compared to the other 3 Gujian titles. But the game has only been in development for about 2 years now, so I'd say we're still another 2 to 3 years away from release, which by that time will either be very close to the release of the next consoles, PlayStation 6, or will be within the generation, which could end up meaning that this title right here might be next gen. So hopefully this has given you a good understanding of what Swords of Legends is, and if you didn't know about it, well, you now know about it now. For me, this is like at the top of my most anticipated games list. The game looks like it's oozing with flavor, like the set pieces are jaw-dropping. This one right here with the Chinese temple off in the background that's been run down, surrounded by water and water lilies with the weird, strange looking enemies. Simply magnificent. I strongly believe that this is going to be yet another video game from the Eastern games industry that's going to end up doing really, really well. However, guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to slippity slap that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons and YouTube members. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.